issues most owners overlook?
Biggest ones, trips, slips, and falls. And that's what happens anywhere you go. When you go to Home Depot and they block off an aisle, it's because they don't want you to trip or fall on any of the equipment that they're doing to move around stuff. When you go into an airport bathroom and they got those cones up because they've just washed the floor, they don't want you to slip, trip, and fall. It's the number one cause of accident. And even more important, it's the number one cause of accidents for people over the age of 60. On average, I think it's something like 72% of people over the age of 60 are going to fall at least once this year. And how severe that accident is how big a problem that can be. And when you take a look at over 30% of the renters staying in your homes are over the age of 60, that's set up for disaster right there. And so you've got to be paying attention to all those things. And it starts with lighting, making sure that you can get into the property. Have you actually shown up at your own rental at night when it's dark out? Put on the idea that it's dark and it's hard to get into the house. And can you have good lighting all the way through? And are you going to trip when you walk in there? And then once you get in the house, you know, that beautiful mat that you thought looked so cool and that little throw rug that you put down that looks beautiful in all the pictures and is so inviting. Have you realized that that's actually something that's going to put you in court with a $350,000 slip, trip, and fall claim? And do you really need to have that in your rental property, not because it looks good, but because it's not safe? So that's the biggest one. And Darren at Proper Insurance will tell you that 83% of their claims have been from slips, trips, and falls. So that's the one that we all need to focus on as hosts.
Great. So give me two more that you think are overlooked.
Fire pits are a big one. Fire pits are extremely popular. We're having a lot of accidents with those. And a lot of people want to rent a vacation home for fire pits. And I'm not saying don't have fire pits, but just recognize that there's a lot of dangers with them. You've got to have a strong plan in place if you have them at your rental properties to make sure they're properly extinguished. I know you and I have talked about one of the ones last year that really caught my attention. There were a lot. If you just have to Google search, there's so many accidents last year. The shocking one with the woman in Tennessee, the young child who showed up at a short-term rental the day after checkout from some previous guests. Nobody checked to make sure that the fire had been properly extinguished. And the little boy went down and fell in the ashes, which were full of hot coals and was burned all over. So extinguishing, making sure those, you got to add that onto your cleaner checklist. Hey, did someone make sure the fire pit is truly out? And also, where is it placed? We've seen a lot of fires on decks, people using those solo stoves up on decks and catching the decks on fire. So that's a big one. And another one that's really kind of a surprise, but coming up a lot lately, are electrical related fires with charging cords. Actually, 2 nights ago, we had a fire from a charging cord with one of those hoverboards at a short-term rental in Texas. And it caught the house on fire. Renters brought that with them. Wasn't properly plugged into the right outlet. That caused it on fire. And we're also seeing where renters forget their charging cables and cords. They go to a convenience store, 7-Eleven, Dollar Tree, grab a cheap one real quick and bring it over to the property. And those are catching on fire. So a lot of different things to think about that aren't on the typical checklist for safety that you would think of.
Okay, yeah, really good point. Okay, great.